What if I told you that March 2026 could be the single most important month for your green card in the last decade? Not an exaggeration, not clickbait. I'm talking about a real confirmed, time-sensitive window that immigration attorneys are calling a once-in-years opportunity, and if you miss it, you might be waiting another 5, 10, even 15 years. Stay with me for the next few minutes because what I'm about to share could completely change the trajectory of your life in America. Welcome back to Immigration Alert Centaur, the channel where we break down complex immigration news into clear, actionable information you can actually use. I'm so glad you clicked on this video today because the March 2026 Visa Bulletin just dropped and there is so much happening inside it that the mainstream immigration world hasn't fully explained yet. We're going to go through every single category. Employment-based, family-based, the final action dates, the dates for filing, all of it. And most importantly, I'm going to tell you what this bulletin means for you and what you need to do right now before this window slams shut. So here's the deal. Every single month, the U.S. State Department releases what's called the Visa Bulletin. This document controls when people in different green card categories can actually move forward with their application. Think of it like a waiting line at an amusement park, except the line can be 5 years long or 20 years long, depending on where you're from and which category you're in. The Visa Bulletin tells you where the line is moving, how fast, and sometimes, rarely, beautifully, unexpectedly. It tells you the gates are open and you can walk right in. That is what is happening in March 2026 for a specific group of people, and I'll tell you exactly who in just a moment. But first, let me give you the big picture overview of what's changed this month because there is movement across almost every category, and that is not normal. When you look at the March Bulletin and you see red meaning forward movement in almost every single column, that tells you something significant is happening with visa availability. The government has more visas to give out and they're using them. Let's talk about why, and then let's talk about what that means for you. Starting with the employment-based categories, which is where the most exciting news lives this month. EB1, that's the category for people with extraordinary ability, outstanding professors and researchers, and multinational executives. India and China are both advancing by 1 month to March 1st, 2023. It's modest movement, but it's still forward progress. Consistent forward movement in EB1 for India and China is meaningful because those backlogs are historically some of the longest in the entire immigration system. Now, EB2, this is the category for professionals with advanced degrees, people with exceptional ability in their field, and those filing through the National Interest Waiver, also called the NIW. This is where things get really interesting, so I need you to pay close attention. On the final action dates chart, the chart that controls people who are outside the U.S. or who need to wait for a visa number before they can take their next step. EB2 India is advancing by 2 months to September 15, 2013. That's a meaningful jump for India. Even though the overall backlog there is still measured in decades, EB2 for all other countries except China is advancing 6 and 1/2 months to October 15, 2024. 6 1/2 months in one bulletin is a major leap. That tells you there is real availability in this category right now. But here is where I need to stop and make sure you truly understand what's about to happen, because this is the part that could change your life. On the dates for filing chart. The second chart in the bulletin, which is the chart that USCIS uses to determine who can file for adjustment of status inside the United States. EB2 for all countries except India and China is going completely current in March 2026. Current as in there is no cutoff date, as in if you are inside the United States right now and you have an approved or pending I-140 in the EB2 category, or if you are ready to file a national interest waiver petition, you may be able to file your green card application, your I-485 right now in March. Let that sink in for a second. This is the first time in years that this has happened. People who have been living in limbo. People who have been on H-1B extensions, on OPT, on student visas, people who have been stretching every legal option just to stay in the country while their I-40 sat pending, those people now have a real concrete opportunity to file for adjustment of status, get a work permit, get a travel document, and add their spouse and children to the application too. All in the same filing, all in March. And I have to be completely honest with you about something. This window might not be there in April. When something like this happens, when EB2 goes current on the dates for filing chart, it creates a flood of new applications. Thousands of people who have been waiting, planning, preparing, suddenly all file at the same time. And when that happens, the State Department typically pulls back, they retrogress the dates, the window closes. We've seen it before. We've seen categories go current 1 month and pull back by a year or more the following month, so the urgency here is real. This isn't manufactured pressure. This is just how the system works. Now, who exactly benefits from this? If you are inside the United States in any legal immigration status, H-1B, 01, TN, L-1, F-1 student visa, even certain visitor statuses, and you are from any country other than India or China, and you are working in a field or have a background that could qualify you for EB2, you need to be talking to an immigration attorney this week, not next month, this week, because the paperwork needs to be filed. Held in March to take advantage of this window, and these things take time to prepare properly. The national interest waiver pathway specifically is worth highlighting here because it doesn't require employer sponsorship. You can self-petition. That means you're not dependent on a company to file on your behalf. If you have an advanced degree, a master's or higher, or if you have exceptional ability in your field, and if your work benefits the United States in some meaningful way, you may qualify to file your own green card petition and your I-485 simultaneously in March. That's a pathway to a green card without a job offer. It's one of the most powerful tools in the immigration system, and it's about to become even more valuable this month. Let me keep moving through the bulletin because there's more good news and I don't want you to miss it. EB3, the category for skilled workers, professionals, and other workers, is also seeing solid movement this month. EB3 Philippines is advancing 2 months to August 1st, 2023. EB3 Mexico and the worldwide category are advancing 4 months to October 1st, 2023. 4 months of movement in one bulletin for EB3 worldwide is encouraging, and there's an interesting rumor floating in immigration circles right now. And I say rumor because nothing is confirmed that EB3 could potentially go current at some point before summer 2026. I'm not going to promise that because the Visa Bulletin is unpredictable, but the signals from the State Department suggest they have enough visa supply in the EB3 category to keep pushing dates forward significantly throughout this fiscal year. On the dates for filing chart for EB3, all other countries are advancing 3 and 1/2 months to January 15th, 2024. EB3 other workers worldwide advancing 6.7 months to June 22nd, 2022. Again, consistent movement. The supply of EB3 visas is holding strong right now. Now let's talk about something that has been completely stagnant for a long time and is finally seeing some life. EB4. This is the special immigrants category, which includes certain religious workers, broadcasters, certain international organization employees, and others. EB4 all countries is advancing 6.4 months on the final action dates to July 15th, 2021. And on the dates for filing chart, EB4 made a jump of almost 1 year and 9 months to January 1st, 2023. That kind of leap, nearly 2 years in a single bulletin, shows you just how backed up this category has been and how much the State Department is trying to work through that backlog. For anyone who has been stuck waiting in EB4, particularly religious workers, this is a meaningful signal that 2026 could bring real movement in your case. EB5, the investor visa category, remains relatively stable. India sits at May 1st, 2022. China is at August 15th, 2016. All other countries remain current. No major changes there from last month. Let me now turn to the family-based categories, and I'll be upfront with you. This side of the bulletin is more of a mixed picture. The final action dates for family-based immigration have not seen meaningful movement this month, which is disappointing but not surprising. Here's why. There's been a significant slowdown at U.S. consulates and embassies abroad. Consular officers have been pausing and delaying the issuance of visas in many countries, particularly family-based immigrant visas. When people can't pick up their visas abroad, those visa numbers don't get used and the system doesn't advance as fast. The employment-based side has actually benefited from this in a strange way because unused family-based visa numbers can sometimes flow into the employment categories, which is part of why we're seeing such strong movement on the EB side this month. For family-based final action dates, F1, which is unmarried sons and daughters of U.S. citizens. Mexico remains at December 22, 2006. Philippines at March 1, 2013. All other countries at November 8, 2016. These numbers haven't moved. F2A, which is spouses and children of lawful permanent residents, remains largely unchanged. F2B, unmarried sons and daughters of permanent residents, no movement. F3, married sons and daughters of U.S. citizens, no change. The only notable movement on the final action dates for family is F4, which is brothers and sisters of adult U.S. citizens, Philippines, advancing 1.3 months to September 1, 2006. Now, on the dates for filing for family-based, there is one bright spot worth calling out. F2A, spouses and children of green card holders, advanced by 1 month to February 22, 2026. And this matters a lot for a very specific group of people. If you are a green card holder and you are married and your spouse is currently inside the United States in legal status, you should be looking at filing for your spouse's green card right now. The F2A wait time has gotten remarkably short. We're talking weeks, not years. That's an extraordinary situation for a family-based category, and it's one that people are overlooking because all the attention is on EB2. But if you have a spouse who is eligible, don't sleep on this. Now, I want to zoom back out and give you the bigger context for what we're seeing in this bulletin because there's an important story behind all of this movement. The U.S. immigration system runs on a fiscal year that starts October 1st. At the beginning of each year, the government has a fresh allocation of green card numbers to distribute. When we're seeing strong forward movement across employment-based categories in March, which is the middle of the fiscal year, it typically means that the pace of visa usage has been lower than expected in the first half of the year. That could be due to the consular slowdowns. It could be due to processing delays at USCIS. Whatever the reason, the result is that there are more visa numbers available right now than there would normally be at this stage, and the State Department is moving dates forward aggressively to make sure those numbers get used before the fiscal year ends in September. This is both good news and a warning. Good news because it creates these incredible windows of opportunity, like EB2 going current on the dates for filing chart, but it's also a warning because these opportunities can disappear quickly. The more people who file in response to bulletin movements, the faster the available numbers get consumed and the more likely we are to see retrogression. If EB2 goes current in March and tens of thousands of people file adjustment of status applications, April's bulletin may pull those dates back significantly. That's just the math of how supply and demand works in the visa system. So, what should you actually do with all of this information? Let me be as practical as possible here, because Immigration Alert Centaur is not just about telling you what's happening, it's about telling you what to do. If you are in EB2 from any country except India and China, and you are currently inside the United States in any legal status, your first call tomorrow morning should be to an immigration attorney. Bring your I-40 approval notice if you have one. If you don't have an approved I-40 yet, but you think you might qualify for a national interest waiver, start the conversation now about whether your case can be prepared and filed in March. The concurrent filing option, filing your I-140 and I-485 at the same time, is a game-changer because you don't have to wait for the I-40 to be approved before getting your work permit and travel document. You file everything together, and while USCIS processes your case, you can be living and working on your employment authorization document. If you are in EB3, keep watching the bulletin closely. The movement we're seeing is sustained and meaningful. If the category continues advancing at this rate, there could be significant opportunities in the coming months. Don't get complacent if your dates aren't current yet. Start preparing your documents now so that when your window opens, you're ready to file immediately. If you are in EB4, particularly if you are a religious worker, pay attention to what's happening. This category went from completely frozen to showing real life. Stay connected, stay informed, and be ready to move when your dates align. If you are a green card holder with a spouse inside the U.S., look seriously at the F2A opportunity. The window is short, but real. And if you're not sure which category you fall into, or whether you even qualify for an employment-based green card pathway, don't guess. The cost of guessing wrong in immigration is too high. Talk to someone who knows the system. I also want to acknowledge something that doesn't get talked about enough in these bulletin breakdowns. The emotional weight of all of this. Many of you watching this video have been living in uncertainty for years. You've been on H-1B extensions waiting for your priority date to move. You've been on OPT stressing about what happens when it expires. You've made life decisions, career decisions, family decisions, housing decisions, all around the uncertainty of your immigration status. And when a bulletin like this comes out, it's not just a legal document, it's a lifeline. It's a moment where the system, which so often feels designed to make you wait and struggle, actually opens a door, and you have a right to walk through that door. You have a right to know about it. That's why I make these videos, and that's why I'm going to keep making them every single month. Before I wrap up, I want to briefly mention something about the broader landscape. We're seeing consular slowdowns in family-based visa processing. We're seeing significant movement in employment-based categories, and we're in a period of real flux in U.S. immigration policy. What that means for you is that the rules of the game can change faster than they used to. A bulletin that shows opportunity in March may look completely different in April. The best thing you can do is stay informed, stay prepared, and act quickly when opportunities arise. That's exactly what we're here for on Immigration Alert Centaur. Every month, we go through the Visa Bulletin line by line so you don't have to navigate it alone. We translate the government language into real information you can act on. We flag the opportunities other channels miss, and we give you the context to understand not just what is happening, but why it's happening and what it means for your specific situation. If this video helped you, if it gave you clarity, or even just a sense of direction in what can feel like an overwhelming process, please give it a thumbs up. It genuinely helps more people like you find this channel when they need it most. And subscribe to Immigration Alert Centaur and hit the notification bell, because next month's bulletin could bring more changes, and you do not want to be the last one to know. Drop a comment below telling me which visa category you're in and which country you're from. I read every comment, and your question might become the topic of a future video. This is a community, and we navigate this journey together. March 2026 is a big month. Make sure it's a big month for